Hello everyone, my name is Lumi, and welcome to Lumi's Lair. And in this, I know you guys forgot that I was actually doing this series, but I'm going to be doing this one with one of my great friends, Rat. But, they probably won't be doing much, it's just I'm very sick right now. I'm very sick, so if I have like any dark spots, uh, they'll just come in, carry it a bit. They don't know much about Overwatch League. But okay. Anyways, so yeah, playoffs are coming up, and it's pretty important. So we have to cover last 2 weeks of games since I didn't do it last week. So let's just start. We're gonna be rating them, but we don't really have to rate many. We can start off with the East region, which is pretty. I think it's actually kind of confusing this time. Guangzhou, worst team in the East, which really sucks. They had a really great start, and the management is probably the worst in the Overwatch League right now. Somehow, it just sucks. They traded their best two players. Well, that's wrong. They traded their moral support and their best player for some washed up Chengdu Hunters players, and it just absolutely sucked. Big news in the B bracket of the tournament. Shanghai was looking very good, and then they get washed by Samprza Gaming twice. Now, if you guys remember back to the first half of this year, they also lost to Samprza Gaming twice. So that's like Shanghai's weakness, I guess, and that's like Seoul. So those are the three teams. But if we look at the East, it's very confusing. Hangzhou's the best team in the East right now. They are poised to take the bracket A, but bracket B is actually confusing. Not that one. Bracket B is really confusing because Guangzhou get washed by Dynasty, but now it's like Dynasty and Infernal battling, and O2 Blast is in winners finals, and they're a contenders team. It's really weird. But I think I'll put Dallas over Infernal since they didn't lose to a contenders team. I don't know. Let's just pop some tier breaks in here. Seems, I'll put it like that. Seems about right. Just evenly disperse the teams. But we're going to be mainly focused on the west side, because, like, none of these really matter anymore. They were kind of big at the time, I guess. But the west side has been absolutely crazy. So London beat Valiant, which is not a surprise anymore, since London are turning out to be a decent, like, midfielder until this week, I guess. Houston beat Vegas, which is cool, I guess. Atlanta beat Justice, and Glads beat NYXL, which was an upset at the time. I don't remember the game too well, but they did play well. I remember both teams playing well, but New York just got washed that game, which was really sad to see. So we can start placing ours in the bracket, which would be like Vegas. Let me copy this real quick because I'm going to do something else with it. We're going to do Vegas, and then Valiant, and then Glads. This is this week, which is after a major upset. So, So now we have Florida beat Boston in a really close game. That game was probably game of the week. Boston is really making moves, and now I have some very difficult decisions to make, so I'm not going to make them and postpone it. So, what's next? So Toronto beat Vancouver, which the game was supposed to be closer, but it was a pretty solid game. These teams are looking very, very good. Very good. And then Shock beat Vegas, which is not a surprise. These past 2 days have been, I think, the most insane 2 days in all of Overwatch League. Not the East. The East were very mediocre, I would say. Other than O2 Blast beating Seoul and what was the other one? Hangzhou Spark beating Dallas, like washing them. I think it was a very mediocre side on the East, but the West were absolutely insane. Every game, most of the games were wild. So NYXL upset Vancouver in a game 5, which is wild. I never think I would ever see that. Boston beat Glads, which is whatever. Florida beat Los Angeles Valiant. And it was a 3-0 this time because if you remember back to week 2, I think, in the Overwatch League, it was a game 5 where Florida came out on top. But this last day was wild. Toronto beat Washington, which is not a surprise since Washington have been playing very poorly. But Houston almost lose to London, and Shock almost beat Atlanta. Which is insane. And that is all we have to... This is the standings, the final standings before playoffs. So Atlanta and Florida on top, with Houston, Boston following. Vancouver make it, barely. But these teams are all tied, and I think Vancouver is the worst of them. Vancouver have not been playing well recently, I'm just going to be straight up honest. Like, they lost to Toronto and lost to NYXL, so they have not been playing well recently. I think Shock may be the best, since they almost beat Atlanta, and I don't think any of these teams are taking it to a game 5 except Shock. But I don't know. It's very close. It's very close. But then NYXL barely squeeze in, and so do Justice, since Gladiators just didn't. They couldn't beat Boston, which is fair because Boston have been playing very consistently. Okay, let's try and make this. Okay, this is gonna be difficult. So this little group here, I think I'd put Washington at the bottom, definitely, and then Vancouver, I think, and then like that. I think this is what it looks like, or maybe a tier break like that. Maybe that. No. Kind of like that is how I'm feeling. Because Washington suck, but they had a very good beginning half of the season. So Washington have like barely held on, just kind of getting carried by Alfie. Vancouver, after losing Aspire, have really like had consistency issues, and their consistency issues hit in the last 2 weeks. NYXL have been playing kind of mid. They have OG, and OG's been playing very well with the new team. London have finally started winning games, but London is mostly just that weird Dark Horse team where they play weird and no one is like anticipating. But now that they're all the way up here, I think that's a weakness, since people would be like, oh, now we're playing London, now we know what comp they're gonna play, and then I think they're just gonna start losing more games. Then Toronto just been playing very consistently, I think. Let me check the schedule just to double check. They beat Vancouver and beat Justice, yeah. But what I will say, where is it? What I will say is maybe no, not London over Toronto. That sounds stupid. The thing about, I have to obviously acknowledge the London Outlaws game, which I don't want to, because the game looked horrible. But I think Outlaws have to make a realization that they can't just be the Outlaws anymore, where it's, I'm the Outlaws and I have 5 amazing players and we can just run them down and win because we shoot better. The Outlaws have to realize that they like need a strategy and also counters? I don't know. It's very weird. But I think we should almost be done with the West. Okay, Florida's still on top. I think Boston officially are better than Houston, and I think Shock are better than Houston. Straight up. This may sound really weird since Houston won their game and Shock lost their game. But in the past 2 weeks, they have both fought the worst teams. They both fought Vegas and won 3-0. But in their second week, Houston narrowly beat out London, and Shock almost upset the Atlanta Reign. So I think Shock are better than Houston. Better than Boston? I don't know. Boston have been playing very well recently, so I'm not gonna stretch it too far. Even though, in my personal opinion, I'd put them above him, but no. I'm just gonna slip this tier break in here. I would personally put him above, but I don't think. Not yet. Not yet. We need a little bit more proof. But yeah, playoffs are gonna start next week, and that's very important. So let's make a prediction for who's winning the West playoffs. Because we can do the East too, I guess, because I think it will be Hangzhou and Seoul, I hope. I think these 2 teams are gonna clutch it out. I don't think Dallas are gonna make it. I don't think O2 Blast are gonna make it, but it is close. But let's just get these teams out of here. So this team's not playing. This team's not playing. This team's not playing. Doop. No, London's playing. Is that it? 5 teams? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Let's just get out of here. I know. Shit. Okay, cool. So, how do we think this is gonna play out? So so Washington play NYXL. This format's confusing. It's really confusing. Washington versus NYXL. I think NYXL are going to win that, and I think Washington will be the first out. And then they play Toronto. I think Toronto will beat NYXL, so it'd be like this. And then I think San Francisco Shock beat London, so it'd be like this. I think this is how it's going to pan out. I just don't understand, like, so if Shock win, they go here. This is weird. I don't understand. Cause like, shouldn't there be more teams? I don't exactly understand this. Cause this makes no sense either, actually. You know what? It's fine. I'll figure it out later. This is how I think it's gonna. I think Shock's gonna win the play-ins. Honestly, they've been playing super consistently. After they almost upset Atlanta Reign, and how Proper's been playing. They have been substituting Max for Jinbin, which is kind of weird, but he has been playing very consistently on Junker Queen. I just think all around playing very well. So yeah, I think this is not a this is not a playoffs prediction. Obviously, I'll cover that more down the line, because I think, okay, this is gonna sound really stupid, and this is definitely some of my San Francisco Shock blood, but I do think these are the 3 teams most likely to win. I don't think Houston have much of a chance at this point in time with how poorly they've been playing. But all of that biased crap out of the way. That I think this is how it's gonna. I think these are the power rankings right now, and this is my prediction for who's gonna make it. But yeah, that's gonna be it. My throat's really hurting right now, so I'm just gonna end it early. Thank you all so much for watching. If you made it to the end, thank you. It means a lot. And I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.